Hey everybody, it's Mark again. It's September the 6th at 10:50 p.m. I just got through, well, I, I finished my niece's Fox and Grapes cuckoo clock today, and I'm editing the video. It's going to be a long video, but so I have to stay up to make sure that video edits and starts to load. But so anyway, I'm going to work on another clock until then. But let me show you this Fox and Grapes clock real fast. Here's the Fox and Grapes cuckoo clock that I given to my niece. And I use beer cans to for weights. She's a nurse, and I love her to pieces, but she's kind of a... Anyway, I'm using the heavier weights on this clock so I don't get any phone calls from her. This clock that I'm fixing to work on, my friend that I go see in the Springfield, Missouri area gave it to me, and there's a tag on it. It shows that there's issues. It doesn't have a pendulum. It doesn't have hands. But kick back, relax, grab something to eat, grab something to drink, grab something to smoke if you choose to do so, and let's learn things. But go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, and please leave me comments. This is the clock, Gilbert, and there's a tag that says has a bent cannon pinion on wheel. Whether it does or not, I have no idea. I've got the back cover for it. There's a can type thing that fits on here. But I'm gonna go ahead and take these screws out and take the movement out of the case. I get the movement out. I'm gonna set the case to the side. Like I say, there's a can that this thing fits in. And they said there was a bent cannon pinion on here, and I'm gonna rotate these wheels, or try to, and see if I can see any bent wheels. I might have to get a hand to rotate this stuff. I'm gonna have to get a hand. Stand by. Yeah, I know this is not the right hand for it, but it fits on the square arbor, and I'm able to rotate the hand, and I don't see anything that's bent. And when you, I was messing with this earlier. I'm just going to wind it up a little bit because it's unwound. I see what's wrong with it. Wheels are supposed to connect to pinion gears or lantern pinions. This wheel here is supposed to connect to this wheel here, pinion gear, and it's not connecting. I should be able to do that. So, I don't know if they have the wrong wheel. It looks like this gear here is bent. Because the spring is already released, I'm going to go ahead and take pictures, and then I'm going to take this movement apart and see if I can straighten out this second wheel shaft. I can see it's bent. It looks bent to me. So let me go ahead and take some pictures, and I'll get back. The first thing I need to do is get this hour pipe off. Actually, no, I don't. I'm just going to leave that all on because it's not going to affect me taking this gear apart. So I'm going to put these little legs on, these movement stand legs. It's easier if you connect them to where the screws go, and that way you know that when you go to put the movement back in, that these legs are not going to stop pivots, etc. So now with the legs on, I can take the nuts off. I need to get rid of this container. Got myself a container. I need to get my stuff together, really. Open up my box here and see if I can find a socket that will fit on these nuts. I don't like using pliers if I don't have to. And before I get too involved, I want to take the spring off. There should be a tapered pin here. Got it off. I'm going to slip the spring suspension unit out. And hopefully I will be able to pull this rear plate off. I got one little stand that ain't touching the table. Well, you know what? One nut is bigger than the rest. Which, you know, it happens. And I want to get a picture of this. I got a picture of it from the top and from the side. And this wheel right here is the one that we think is bent. And so I'm going to put it in my drill and see how bent it is. Yeah, I think it's bent. So, can I straighten it out? That is the question. I'm going to do like I always do. And I got this metal bar here. And I'm going to lay it flat on the metal bar, turn on the drill. And see if I can straighten it out. There's a curve in it right where it meets the lanyard pinion. I'm gonna have to get my smaller Jacob's chuck. With a smaller, I didn't do anything else. I just put it in the smaller Jacob's chuck. You can see the bend. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat this up with my portable propane torch, and then I'm going to use I don't think these will work. My staking set won't work because they don't go in that far. So what I'm going to do is get out my pin vise which I have a cutting brooch in. And I'm going to put this on to try to manipulate it after I heat this up. It's straighter, but not as straight as I like. You could still see a little bit of a warp in it. And it's not straight enough for it to catch that wheel. The lantern pinion is too far toward the front of the movement. What to do. It's these times that I take a break and I think about things to figure out what I need to do. So I went back to the torch and watch this. Do you see it spin? It's now connecting to that gear for the most part. And the way I did it was I took this down here. I drilled a hole that's the same size of that bent shaft for that second wheel. And I heated up that shaft. I had it in my drill. And then after I heated it up, I put this on it and went all the way through and I manipulated it. And so as you can see, it's now catching where it needs to catch. But that's enough for that for tonight. We'll continue it later. And I tell people all the time, I use simple tools. I use the drill, I use a wooden dowel, and I use the blowtorch. This thing right here. And I tell people all the time, use the tool that God gave you, which is your brain. It's your most important tool. Think outside the box. I don't have this. What can I do? Now you want to, you don't want to do anything that's going to hurt yourself. And so, as you can see, it burnt this dowel because I stuck a cherry red shaft into this dowel to manipulate it. But my sink is right there. There's a bowl full of water. I was prepared. So use the tool that God gave you. Think outside the box. I don't have a bunch of fancy tools. You don't need them. You just got to think outside the box. Yeah, I have a lathe right there for sale, and I have a lathe right there, but I rarely use them. And I forgot to mention, the clock was given to me. If I break it, I'm not out any money. I don't want to break it. I want to fix it. I've got clocks that when I first started in 1998, I broke them. But I learned from my mistakes. I learned what I can do and what I can't do. And I watch videos. Watch Torsion Derek or watch Matthew Reed. It was just two of the people I advertise for all the time. They're professional clock repair people, but yet they provide free information through these YouTube videos. Derek works on torsion clocks. That's why his channel is called Torsion Dell. But I guarantee you, if you watch enough of his videos, he's going to show you stuff that will help you with repairing your clocks. He shows how to replace broken pivot staffs. He shows you all kinds of stuff. The man is 72 years old, and he makes little tiny screws that I can't see. He has a digital microscope that he has set up over his lathe to help him see. Matthew Reed, the man he's talented. He shows you stuff and he explains the in and outs of why it's a certain way. The man's knowledge is well above my head, but that doesn't stop me from trying to repair my clocks or my friends' clocks or my relatives' clocks. This is what happens when it's midnight at my house. I'm late getting this video going, but and I've got a few clocks that I got to wind up, but I got quite a few going up and running. And I'm working on editing the video where I'm fixing my niece's cuckoo clock. It's been a long day and it's not done yet. And the big question is, it's September the 7th now. Am I a billionaire? Because I have 5 tickets in my wallet. And Powerball was up to $1.7 billion last time I checked. So hopefully, if I'm a billionaire, y'all will never hear from me again. Sorry, that's just the way it is. However, if I am a billionaire, there are several friends that I've met being the admin for 2 different groups that they will be millionaires also. You can't take it with you. If I'm a billionaire, I'm going to share the wealth. So it's now 1:30 in the morning, and my brain won't shut off. I put these parts in the cleaner. I normally wouldn't do this, but my video is still editing, and I want to get on the computer to research this clock. So I'm going to use some polish here, this Blue Magic, and I'm going to clean up the movement. Now, doing so, you have to take toothpicks to it afterwards, to the holes, because you don't want the Blue Magic inside the pivot holes. And I don't need my Dremel on that high. I say Dremel, it's a rotary tool. It's going to turn black, and that's what you want. And you just keep on polishing. Same pad, just keep polishing. I talked about this in other videos, but a friend of mine uses a Q-tip, and he just sits there and rubs and rubs and rubs until he gets the desired shine that he wants. Well, I'm not going to use a Q-tip. I'm going to be smart about it, and I'm going to use my rotary tool. Now, there's some scratches in this movement plate that I'm not going to be able to do anything about. I'm supposed to be going fishing today with my sister, who's babysitting her best friend's children. And they want me to take them fishing. So hopefully I know I'll be okay. I'll just get out my energy drinks later and just start chugging them. And you notice I didn't add any more polish to this. You don't need a lot. I'll take a cloth to it afterwards, but that's before and that's after. Like I said, I'll take a lint-free cloth to this to wipe it down. I might add just a little bit more Blue Magic. And give it a once over one more time. It might be my pad too. I might should have to change it. Whether you're using Mother's, Blue Magic, semi-chrome, that's totally up to you. But the product turns black, and then you just keep on rubbing, working it in, and then it'll shine up. I'll speed this thing up just a little bit. A lot shinier. You can still see my, not necessarily tool marks, but where I went across it. If I was to change my pad out with a new pad, it'd probably make it look better. So stand by. And speaking of pads, instead of buying the Dremel pads, go out and buy yourself these furniture. I don't know what you call them. They're furniture. You put them on the bottom of your furniture to scoot it around to protect the floor. I didn't get this quite in the dead center of this hole. But these things work great for doing what you're doing. Like I said, I didn't get in the dead center, and so it's not going to work the greatest. But it's shining up. Now I need to do the other side. I'll come back after I get both plates done. So my video for repairing that boxing grapes clock is finally done editing, and I'm posting it to my YouTube channel. But here's the Gilbert clock that's for sale. It's 1928. They want $34.95 plus another $13 in shipping. And here's what the pendulum looks like. I might not have that exact pendulum, but I'll come up with something similar to it. And of course, the hands. 8-day clock. Here's one that's sold. It's got a different pendulum on it. Sold for $32 plus shipping on September 4th. And so whether that's the original pendulum or not, I don't know at this time. The hands are the same. So for $32 plus another $14.95 in shipping. And it doesn't have the back case, or at least it doesn't in that picture. It doesn't have the back case. So you can't hang the thing up on the wall. And I'm going to show y'all some. If you have a computer, it works better. You grab a hold of this picture. You open up Google. You put this in the camera. And it's going to show you all the ones out there. But a lot of them might be old. So you'll see they made different kinds. It's going to show you what you put first. And let's see, Worth Point is not going to allow me to see live auctions. I don't know if it's going to, I'll probably have to sign in to find out how much is, it's not even showing me that clock. I'm probably going to have to sign in to find out. Here it is, but I'm going to have to sign in to find out how much it's sold for. So stand by. It's sold for $50 plus commission and shipping. And a lot of times a commission on this thing is like 25% or more. Now here's one on Etsy that sold for $95. And I believe that this style pendulum is correct for these clocks. And it even has the back cover. There's another one on a site called Proxy Bid. And you will see that the pendulum, let's see, I got the key, doesn't say how much it's sold for. But I was trying to find the pendulum. A good picture of the pendulum. Anyway, it's a nice looking clock. I don't know how much it's sold for. Going back to the one on Etsy, it does say this clock does include the original pendulum, but does not have the original key. And this is the pendulum that I'm used to seeing. This type thing. Now I got the movement all shined up, and I took a toothpick to all the holes, and some of these holes are extremely tiny. The very tip of the toothpick broke off, and I had to get it out. But before I go too much further, I want to see if this will wind up with the repairs that I did to the clock. So I need to put the plates together. And let me do that off camera. And now normally, the way I would wind up a mainspring like this is I would put the second wheel on, and then there would be a hole that I could go through the plates with the screwdriver, and that way the second wheel doesn't spin on me. But with this clock, there is no hole big enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this hemostats up to the minute shaft, because the minute shaft wheel here is connected to the second wheel. The great wheel, remember I was telling you, wheels connect to pinion gears or lantern gears. The great wheel connects to the second wheel lantern gear, and then the second wheel connects to the minute post with center arbor. And so hopefully this will be good enough to hold this stuff, because I'm also going to put on a glove, because I don't know whether or not my repair is going to hold. You know, they're lantern pinions, and some of them were bent, and I straightened them out, but I want to make sure that it's going to hold, so I want to be safe. And I'm going to use my drill to wind it up, because if you're sitting there winding it up with your hand and something slips, you're going to break a finger, or at least cut a finger, or at least bruise a finger, and I don't want to bruise or break or anything. So I got this key and this drill, and I got it set on a low setting, so I'm going to wind this thing up. And hopefully wind it up. I might have the wrong key. Well, I'm going to try it with this key now. And this is the reason why I did this. It got to one part of the second wheel, and it's no longer catching the second wheel. You see that? So it's always better to be safe than sorry. And when I let go of this, it might take a little bit, but and I see why the lantern pin has fell out. There's one that's coming out. You see that? So I'm going to fix that now. Whenever you work on something, whether it's a clock, a car, or whatever, you always want to be safe. And if you're unsure of something, take extra precautions, put on your safety equipment, and, clocks can be replaced. Your life, your limbs cannot. And there's still pressure on this spring. So again, I have my glove on. So when I remove the plate, because the spring is in between the two posts, it's keeping it in place. So now I have to fix this lantern pinion. Typically, the pins are put in place and then they're soldered. As you know, I suck at soldering. So I'm going to use my high-strength Loctite and put some high-strength Loctite on top of these pins, and that should take care of it. You know, I tell you all the time, I wish more people would comment on my videos, because it helps me out. It helps clock repair people who are new out, because the more comments you make, the more YouTube shows your videos. But I also take the comments and use them. You know, one subscriber told me, Mark, I use high-strength Loctite whenever I'm putting replacing broken pivots and stuff like that. And he's like, make sure you get the high strength Loctite. It sets up really hard. And as you can see, I use this stuff all the time. I had another YouTube subscriber tell me, because I used to wear knee braces, and he told me, Mark, I've been using this stuff right here for a very long time, and I take this religiously, 2 pills every day. I no longer have to wear my knee braces. My knees still occasionally hurt, but not to the point where I have to wear knee braces. I was wearing knee braces every time I walked out of this house because of the pain in my knees. I'm getting old. 27 is really old. But this is natural stuff. It's not stuff that you can get at the VA, because pharmaceutical companies ain't making high dollar money on this stuff. They'd rather give you drugs. This guy that bought some clocks off of me, I was telling him how I went to the Advanced Pain Center since 2016, but for whatever reason, I can no longer go there because of my back issues. I was getting hydros every month. I've been on hydros since 2016. He's like, Mark, he was a younger kid than myself. So I'm 27, he was probably 20. But he said he hurt his back, and a friend of his, who's big into pot and stuff like that, said, try this, Kratom. And I told him, look, I've tried gummies. I don't like gummies. They make me high. I don't like that feeling. He's like, this stuff won't make you high. So I take this stuff. It's 250 grams. That's what it cost me. The instructions say take 1 gram powder with water or juice. It tastes like crap, all right? I'm used to the taste, and I tell people I would drink horse piss if I knew it was going to help me out. It says do not consume more than 2 servings in 24 hours. I keep a spoon in here. I bought this stuff a month ago or so. Barely used any of it. I keep this spoon in here. I take like a half of one of these spoons once a day, and I'm able to function better. Pharmaceutical companies don't want you using this stuff because it's going to take away their Playboy wife, because they're no longer going to be getting the money that they were when they had you hooked on narcotics. If you go to Mayo Health Clinic, it'll tell you it's bad for you. Well, guess what? Hydros, Percocet, Tramadol, all that stuff's bad for you. I'd rather take a natural plant than a pharmaceutical pill that's made in a lab. As long as you follow the instructions, you'll be fine. Now, I know somebody who told me when she was going to drug court, she used to take this stuff because if you take enough of it, it'll make you high. I don't like being high. I take the recommended dose. I actually take less than the recommended dose, and I'm able to function throughout the day by using this stuff. Now, on a side note, I like eating mangoes. And one day, a mango comes, there's a great big seed in a mango. When you open that great big seed, there's smaller seeds. Well, one day I ate some of those smaller seeds, and it tasted just like this Kratom. And I've only been on this stuff for a month and a half. I love it. So now I have to wait for this stuff to dry before I go any further. So we'll get back whenever I think that is dry. It cures in 24 hours, but you can work with it in 20, 30 minutes to an hour. Something like this, I'm going to wait at least an hour because you got the pressure of this wheel pushing on those things. In the meantime, I want to check out my other parts. And here I'm looking at the pallets on the furniture assembly. And if I get this thing focused back in, if I can find out where I was at. Hopefully you can see that. That's what I hate about this microscope. It's got to do with the light and surrounding areas and stuff. But the pallets are not straight across. It almost looks like there's a groove in there, but it's not. But there is a hump. It starts off low here and it gets higher over here. So that's from going over the escapement wheel all the time. So you want to take a file or whatever to fix this. Why is it not doing what? There we go. Hopefully you can see that better. It's pretty jacked up, and there should be an angle in these pallets, just like with a cuckoo clock birch assembly. Let me get one real fast. Here's a great big version, so you should be able to see this once I get it focused in. Believe it or not, there's an angle in that, and there's an angle in this other one too. Again, let's see if I can get it focused in better. This one's kind of worn out. Let me get a different one. Underneath this one right here is going to be the angle, and then this one over here is going to be on top. So showing you the one underneath, there's like a 45-degree angle. Don't quote me on that. And then going on to the other side, you see the angle, and so you see how it's straight across. I keep my big fat fingers out of the way. You see how it's straight across? That's what you want. Same way over here. It's straight across. But with this, it's not straight across on either side. So I'm gonna attempt to take my rotary tool to fix this stuff. This, and you will see now that they are straight across on both of them, and they have the angle in them. And I'm going to show you how I did it on this. I got this wheel here in my Dremel, and I got the rotary tool. And I got the rotary tool on low setting, and I stopped this with my finger, and then I put this where I want it on the tool, and then I let my finger go. Again, this one here, the angle would be on the outside. So putting it on the tool, resting it on the tool, and then letting my finger go. It's not perfect, but it'll work. And then this inside one would be the hardest one to do because you can't put it at the right angle. So you would have to use a file on this to get the right angle on the inside. Remember, I told you that the sharpest curved one, the angle is on the inside, and then one that is like a 90 degree, the angle is on the outside. That's with every clock I've ever seen. Do you like my can holder? As long as I keep my cans inside this roll of tape, I don't spill them. Hopefully you can see this if I can put it in the right position. Come on, Mark. I'm having camera issues, tool issues, and everything else. This thing should tighten up. Why the heck is it not tightening up? I have no idea. The lantern pinions are bent away from the teeth. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to replace the lantern pinions with some straight ones. I didn't want to, but I have to. You see that? Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully things ain't too dirty. Well, now the wheel's not in the right place. But anyway, I'm going to have to take this cap off and replace these lantern pinions. So wish me luck. I told you these things were soldered in, so heating it up, I was able to pull it out from the holes that there's a piece of solder there. I have to get it all the way off and then take these wires all the way out. And I've got pivot staff to replace them with. I think I'm going to have to heat it up again to get it the rest of the way off. Maybe not. Get off of there. Yeah, I'm going to have to heat it up again to get it the rest of the way off. And then what you want to do, you cut your new pivot, your new lantern wire, all the same length. And then start with one hole, go the opposite hole. And that's the hardest part because it's so small. You want to, let's say, this is the 12 o'clock position. You want to go 12 here and then 12 down here on this wheel. 6 here and 6 down on this wheel. 3 and 3, 9 and 9, etc., etc. And because I had to take that apart, I went ahead and straightened out the shaft some more. It's pretty dang straight. I straightened it out even more. It's almost straight as an arrow now. So once I fix the lantern pinion issue, it should catch those wheels. Now the diameter of the wire is 0.7 millimeters. And that's how long it is. Now you want to make sure that you clean up. You don't want this stuff falling in the floor. And if you're like me, you walk around barefooted all the time, you'll get this stuff in your feet. And I got some pivot staff right here. And I have to go through and see if I can find me some that's 0.7 millimeters. So that's what I'm going to do. And while cutting my last piece of wire, my pivot staff went blind. And so wish me luck finding it. You know, I tell people all the time, if you set your mind to doing something, you could do it. You know, sometimes I have to think about things. And sometimes I have to think about those things for a couple of years. Until I'm ready. I got to set my mind into doing it. You know, I've worked on a different clock a few different clocks. I worked on an antique clock for my old neighbor. They've never seen it run. It belonged to her mother or grandfather. I don't know, but I worked on it and I had to replace some of the wires for the lantern pinions. And I didn't have pivot staff. I used small nails. But I'm getting better at doing this stuff. Am I a professional? I don't consider myself a professional. A lot of people do, but I don't. But anyway, we'll get back to you. I'll probably work on this thing again when I come back from fishing because I don't want to mess with it until that stuff dries. And wait for 20 minutes for initial curing and 24 hours for complete curing. So I love this stuff. I've got high and medium strength. I like using the high strength Loctite, and I bought it off of eBay for less than $10. Because I can't do anything else, I decided to watch Torch and Dell's latest YouTube video. Torch and Dell, Derek, is a very smart individual. He's making some lathe accessories for somebody who needs them. And he mainly works on torsion clocks, which are anniversary clocks. But even if you don't have an anniversary clock, watch his videos because you will learn stuff. He shows you how to put pivot staff in. He shows you all kinds of stuff. And he's very intelligent, knows his lathes, knows how to do all this stuff. Like I said, he purchased a digital microscope, and that's what you're looking in, I believe, so you can see what's going on. But very smart individual. There's his picture, and I always advertise for him at the beginning of every one of my videos. So subscribe to his channel, watch his videos. You will learn things. You've been watching my channel for a while. I mentioned this in other videos, but I took machine shop 3 years in high school, 3 years of wood shop and 3 years of drafting. And the Air Force really screwed up when they put me in munitions versus being a machinist. I was a teacher for the day. In your senior year, the high school that I went to, Jerseyville, Community High School in Jerseyville, Illinois, pick one student out of every class to be teacher for the day. My machine shop and teacher, Cliff Bigelow, picked me as a student of the day. I made this hammer that I use all the time. It needs welded again, but I made all this and the teacher would show you something that he made, give you blueprints, and then you went out and made it. And I didn't have very much confidence in myself back then. And so I was constantly asking the teacher, hey, am I doing this right? And he'd always say, Mark, you've always produced everything that I've given you. You went above and beyond every other student, went above and beyond my stuff. Your stuff always looks better than my stuff. When you're done with it, quit asking me questions. And he had a lot of faith in me. I haven't really used a lathe other than the clock repair stuff with this micro lathe that I have since 1983. Oh wait, I'm only 27. It couldn't have been 1983. Anyway, watch Derek's videos. You will learn things. It's only been 2 hours or so, so I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this. But you could see that the wheel is spinning. And you could see that the teeth are engaging on the wires where they weren't before. So I'm happy with that. Movement all back together, and I oiled all the pivots to include the pallets. I put the suspension spring on, and I gave it a couple of clicks. I don't want to wind it all the way up. It's still drying. But when I turn this just right, you can see the ticking away. Again, I don't have it all adjusted yet, and I don't want to put a lot of pressure on the spring because those wires are still drying with my red Loctite on it. But we're getting there. You can see it because I had the camera zoomed in way too much. It still needs some adjustments. And again, I don't have the spring wound all the way up. And I don't have the crutch assembly bent correctly. I went ahead and wound it up. As you can see, it's ticking away. And now, getting back to the case, yeah, it was ticking away for for the last 5 minutes or so before I turn on the stupid camera. But anyway, you get back to the case and the pendulum. The case is wider down here, and so if you put a short pendulum up here, it's going to hit the side of the case. So that's why it takes that long bar so the pendulum bob can swing down here. So I was video chatting with my friend who gave me this clock, and he told me he believes he has the pendulum, so I need to wait. Like I said, the clock is ticking, so I just need the pendulum for it. And he believes he has the pendulum. So I'll put this clock to the side and work on my next clock. And by the way, this is an 8-day clock because these clocks were marked 8-day or 12-day. And he's supposed to be sending me a picture from his Gilbert Trans-July book on this clock. So I had to take this movement back apart for two reasons. First of all, the escapement wheel was off center of the birch assembly. And the second reason, the birch assembly needed adjusted. This pallet right here was bent too far down. But now when I push on the escapement wheel, it seems to be turning, and the pallets seem to be catching it. But there's only one way to find out, and that is to put the movement back in place to see. I might have to adjust this pallet some more, but I had to push this wheel toward the front of the movement because the birch was barely catching it. The wheel needed to be pushed. So I'm going to put it back together and see what happens. It took me a few tries of heating this up and bending it, trying it, heating it up, bending it, and trying it. But now I think I got it right. And as you can see, the pallets are straight over the escapement wheel. We're back to where we first started with the great wheel slipping, and I think I know why. I didn't really pay attention before, but the great wheel teeth look curved, every one of them. And they shouldn't be curved. They should be like all the other teeth, which are straight. And so that's going to be a chore, trying to straighten every one of those teeth out. So I'm watching Cheryl Adair's latest video. If y'all have not subscribed to her channel, you need to do so. She is really good at repairing clocks. She will sit there and study a clock to make sure, to figure out how it ticks, to figure out how it works. She'll sit there and draw pictures and take notes and do research and read books and does a lot of research before she even starts taking a clock apart. She's really, really good at repairing clocks. I hate to read. I rarely open a book. I have a bad reading level, and that's because I hate to read. I'd rather watch a movie or watch a video. I have an 8th grade reading level, and that's because I don't like to read. She's a nurse, all right? She trains and boarders dogs. She has won her picture. This picture right here is her being on a cover of a dog magazine. She's holding ribbons. She's won ribbons and awards for her dogs that she trains. So, she's in my group. And I talked her into creating a YouTube channel. Because she created a video, and I'm like, Cheryl, I think you ought to create a YouTube channel. And so she did. And I told her that I would support her any way possible in getting her subscribers. The girl is talented, and she's a lot better looking than I am, so I don't know why y'all don't want to subscribe to her channel, because she's a lot better looking than I am. But anyway, I took the mold out of this. So I heated this wheel up and let it cool slowly. And now I'm trying, you can see a bunch of curved teeth here, but I'm trying to straighten them out. And I'm going to mark a tooth for you so you can see what I do. This tooth right here, you see it's curved. So now, of course on camera, I'm probably end up breaking the thing. Now you can see that same tooth is straightened out. And you should be able to. I'll do the one right next to it so you can see it again. Finding a small pair of pliers to do this. And there I did the one right next to it, so you should be able to see that both of those are straightened out. I'll do one more. Hopefully you can see that. But I have a bunch of teeth to do, so I'm going to continue doing that. And somebody repaired this. This was soldered. And I think when I put it back in, I might have put it in the wrong way because all the teeth are going opposite of all the other teeth. But it doesn't matter because I got to straighten them all out anyway. And then I took my Dremel with one of these blades that it's for cutting metal, but they break real easily. And I went through every one of those teeth. Now, hopefully it'll work, but if it doesn't work, you know, the clock was given to me. I'm not out any money in trying to repair this clock, but you will see it. And also put this thing in between my fingers using this Dremel like this, turning it on. And cleaned up the sides on both sides. And you will see that the teeth are straighter. They might not be perfectly straight, but they're straighter than what they were. And because I hardened this to soften it, I now have to harden it to quench it. That way, and quench it. That way, it makes it hard again. But the teeth are a lot better than what they were. They were all 50 to 60% of them were curved. Naturally, when I heated this back up, this piece that they added to it fell out. So I had to solder it back in. And it looks pretty decent and it's pretty secure. So on to the next step. And with the great wheel and the second wheel in place, and me turning the second wheel, it's turning the great wheel, which is a good thing. And with the great wheel and the second wheel in place, and me turning the second wheel, it's turning the great wheel, which is a good thing. Now remember, there's a lot that I had to do to this movement. I had to adjust the birch assembly because the pallets were not bent right. I had to put the lantern pinions in the second wheel, and then I had to straighten out all the teeth on the main gear. I'm giving it a little bit of wind, and you can see it's ticking away. So I think I did good. Of course, I re-oiled the movement after I put it all back together again. But it's sitting there ticking away. And so time to wind it up, to take the zip tie off and put this thing back in the case and go from there. Now I could mess with this thing all day long on the stand and put it in the case, and I might still have to tilt the case a little bit or adjust the crutch, but You will see I got the crutch bent out a little bit away from the movement. And the reason I did this, because this is a homemade pendulum leader and pendulum bob. And it was touching the case a little bit, so I bent it out. Hopefully it'll stay away from the case. Again, there's really no way to determine what to put this clock in beat on a stand, because the movement doesn't have any level parts to it, but it's almost in beat that way. And if I put pressure on it to tilt it to the right, it ticks better. And I had to re-drill this because I couldn't put the hole in the center because it was hitting the case. Now, do you know how hard it is to start on freehanding this and drill a hole here and come up exactly the same spot on the opposite side? It was pretty hard for me, but it's pretty dang close. And it looks pretty dang good when you look at it from a few feet away. But there the clock is up and running. I had to bring the top of the clock out from the screw in order for the pendulum not to hit the case. And as you can see, it's tilted just a little bit, but the clock is up and running. And can you live with the tilt? I can. Anyway, I hope y'all like this video. Please give me a thumbs up, leave me some comments, subscribe not only to my channel, but to all the other channels mentioned, and may God bless each and every one of you. 1928 Gilbert 8-day clock.